Hi, Marshall team. As promised, I am bringing you one of our newest directors on the Marshall National team, and I am just thrilled to be able to do this interview today with Leigh Huey. She is from Marietta, Georgia, and just happens to be my best friend and the one that brought me into beauty control many years ago, about 15 years to be exact. And she's had quite a journey with beauty control. But one of the things I think you'll find about Leigh is that she never gives up. And she's had a few obstacles the last few years, one of them being her husband lost both of his parents in the same year. And they were very sick leading up to that. So she still kept her beauty control business active. But after Celebration last year, she decided that she wanted to go for it again and really committed to it then. So I've asked her just kind of to share her story. What was it that motivated her the most to get started? Why was she so determined? Because actually she made that decision in August and then promoted out in October or November. No, excuse me, September. She made the numbers and officially a director in October. So pretty exciting. So Leigh, tell me what it was that really just got you motivated and that sort of thing.
Actually, it was just being at Celebration and just the direction that the company is taking.
Yeah.
And to new people, this may not mean a whole lot, but you and I have been in the business long enough, and we've seen lots of changes in the leadership and so forth. And it was just a feeling of the company going back to the heart of what the business means. And to me, it's always been all about the heart and about serving and it being a ministry. But it really became clear to me at Celebration, just a lot of clarity then with the things I heard there, the plan of the company, the direction, you and I talking about our own team goals and what we wanted to accomplish. And so that's when really and truly the focus came into my business and a rekindling of just the fire in my belly, I guess you could say.
Well, you and I talk a lot about the power of attitude, and really, when you've got a great attitude, it doesn't matter what's going on. You can sort of make lemonade out of lemons still, right? But I think one of the things that we've discussed the most in your journey over the past few months has been just a mindset change,
Right.
really, of I'm going to do this. I'm not going to let anything stand in my way.
Mhm.
I am determined, and really a focus on team and people. And I want you to tell them the story about the doctor you recruited, Zena,
Yeah.
and how that started at Celebration with a bookathon that Beauty Control offered us, and what that's now turned into, her and her team.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And you just never know how things are going to work out, which you never want to give up in this business on your clients because one day they may turn out to be some of your very best consultants. Um, we had a bookathon during a lunch hour, a celebration, and basically I went through the names on my contact list on my phone and I called a couple of people, texted most of them, and Xena was still in my phone after it's either 2 or 3 years of knowing her. She was a client of mine, and the only thing she had ever bought from me was lip appeal,
Oh
and
my.
that was only a couple of times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So anyway, I texted her that afternoon, and she got back with me almost immediately and said, "Sure, I would love to do a spa for you." And she said, "I need some lip appeal anyway." So we booked that spa. It was within a week or two after I got back from Celebration. And she had 7 or 8 people there at her doctor's office after hours, of course. And she was very interested. I think the deal was I think it was $89. And also 2 or 3 of her friends also, well, 2 of her friends signed up that day, and we got one about a couple of weeks later. And these ladies are just incredible. They're just working the business. And here is Zena, or Dr. Fleming, as I called her for a long time. She's a pediatrician, and she's got a very busy practice.
Yeah.
But her motivation, I asked her, it was about a week or two after she had signed up, and her motivation was to help to pay off uh, some school bills, medical school bills, and a loan, I guess. And she has just been rocking and rolling ever since, and so have the ladies that are on her team. And I've been trying to work with each and every one of them and doing welcome spas for them. And they've just taken off and they love this business, and they're just phenomenal.
Well, and there goes the importance of the welcome spa. And I think some of the verbiage that you gave me when you were excited about Dr. Fleming and her team was, I'm just having so much fun
Mm-hmm.
watching them be excited and watching them succeed. And I think is also a good lesson for us too, as far as prejudging. I know for
Yes.
myself, sometimes who would have had the courage to even think about texting their doctor and say, hey, you want to do a spa for me?
Yeah.
And so I think we need to kind of do away with the idea of preconceptions and really judging someone and what their needs might be, because you never know.
Yeah.
And then also the other important thing, and this is why I'm really trying to encourage the national team on the second Monday night of every month to get involved in our bookathon that we do, or
Mm-hmm.
booking blitz, because it's really that concentrated amount of time when we actually just make ourselves focus on something. It doesn't take all day. It may be as simple as just texting or calling 2 or 3 of your friends or your clients,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily looking for a yes, but just being consistent in asking,
Right.
and always asking all the time. But taking that time that day, I never will forget how excited you were. Well, the whole table was excited because I think we got a ton of bookings that day,
Right.
amongst ourselves. And actually, one of the other gals that was there, making calls that day and texting is EVIP Annette Marks from
Yep.
Orlando, and she just made her first month director numbers last month. So, you know,
It's awesome.
all can stem back to the excitement, enthusiasm, and commitment. So,
Right.
what would you say about commitment to anyone that's looking at becoming a director?
Well, I mean, you definitely have to set your mind on that goal, and you cannot let up in that commitment level. And it doesn't mean that you have to kill yourself with your schedule, because so many of us have other obligations to family or church and kids. And but for me, it has just been being consistent. That's what has, you know, it's been amazing to me how this time around getting to director, I really haven't. Yes, I've worked hard, but I think I've worked more smart, I guess you
Mm-hmm.
could say, and I haven't killed myself over it. And the more someone asked me a while back, well, how do you get to director so fast? And really, I don't know that it was that fast, because, like I said, I'd really set the goal in August. It did ramp up in August and September, I suppose, but it's just putting yourself in front of more people than you normally would.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have the activity to put yourself in
Activity.
front of people. So whether
Activity is
it's
key. And
yeah,
the funny thing about your story too is I will remember, in October I called you one day and I said, "Do you realize how close you are to your director numbers?" And you're like, "What? No way!" And of course I was off by a couple of thousand. I had done some misfiguring. You said, "Hey, if I'm that close, we're going to do it. I know we will." And and thank you for sharing about the activity, because I think that's the most important thing I can tell anyone probably that wants to be successful in our business is, focus on activity and the numbers come.
mhm,
You've got to have obviously the right activities, but focus on the activities and not so much the numbers. And
mhm,
it'll be like here we are in October, and oh my goodness, didn't even realize we were that close to making first month director numbers, and you did.
right,
And so it's the activity and the consistency. Those are the two things I hear you saying,
mhm,
to me right now. And before we close, um, a lot of people on the team have just mentioned how motivational your story has been, and talking about determination and motivation. So there were some things you wanted to share. You said on the call or on this video call. So I'm gonna let you do that right now.
Well, I think, and you and I at Celebration, we had latched onto this quote, run your own race.
Yeah.
And, we pasted that on our Facebook page, posted it on our Facebook pages. I have it in my office where I can see it every day. Of course, I made you that little thing for your office so that you could see it every day. And it's really is run your own race and don't look around and compare yourself to what everybody else is doing. First of all, that takes time away from your business, but everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own life and their own speed. This is not a race, it's a marathon. And I know we've said that time and time again, but slow and steady wins the race. And I have never been a person that is just going to, burn up the track, I guess. I mean, I have always wanted to live a balanced life. And so, yes, I am committed to my business to getting to the level of director and beyond, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of my family or my friends at times when they may need me. It is a pace yourself kind of thing, but keep your eyes on the goal. And we've talked about before with those racehorses, they wear blinders so they won't look around. That slows them down. All they can see is that finish line.
Right.
So that's what we need to do. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing around us. We want to celebrate their victories too, and we want to be there for them when they're having bad times. But you need to do your own business, help your team as much as you can with those workers that are really, working the business. And just run your own race. I can't say that enough. And
yeah, and you've kept me pretty accountable to that too.
Yes.
I think as any of us that are want to be a director or a director in this business, we have a little bit of competitiveness in us, right? We've got a drive, obviously, and I do think one of the most dangerous things we can do, and I've been guilty of it many times, is just looking around. And even though we're being successful, we're looking around at somebody else and going, well, how did she do that? And it really takes away from the success that I'm feeling over a goal that I set for myself. And I think what you'll find out is when you stop looking around at trying to beat other people and just focus on the goal, when you reach your own goals, that's success.
Yeah.
And, that's what keeps you motivated. And then, like you said earlier in the call, the other thing that's so important is really focusing on others, which seems so cliche, but it's true. Whether you're pampering someone or whether you're recruiting someone into the business like Dr. Fleming, you never know. And I know that, let me ask you real quickly, because I don't want to keep the gals too much longer, but talk to me a little bit about spas, because we talk about this a lot because new people come into the business and they automatically think that every spa they're going to do is going to be, this successful spa.
Right.
But talk to them about how the baby steps of, because that's really our theme right now is taking baby steps, how the baby steps work and how you can't judge your success on just one spa or one new consultant or whatever. Because we all know that there's a lot of consultants that tell us they're going to be our next superstar, and 2 months later we can't find them, right? And it's the same thing with our parties. We might have a $1,000 spa one night, and the next night, $50. That does happen. It's reality.
Yes. Yeah, and that's true. And you and I have been in the business long enough where we've experienced all kinds of ups and downs with our spas. But the important thing is that you're putting yourself in front of people. And yeah, it's fantastic if you have a $500, $600 or more spa. But the way I look at it now, and like I said, I had a whole new clarification. I think God gave it to me since August. Was this is my ministry, and whatever you really need to discover your why and why you're doing this. And that way you won't be too discouraged even if you have a spa where you sell a lipstick, because you still have talked to people there, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. You never know when those people are going to come back follow up is key. You need to follow up if you have sort of a dud of a spa. But maybe those people are just thinking about the products they'd like to purchase. Maybe they have more questions that they didn't want to ask at the spa. So you need to, follow up with them. It could lead to a big sale. It could lead to a new consultant. That new consultant could end up being one of your best directors on your
Yeah.
team. So
Yeah.
it's just the way I look at it is nothing is a loser spa or a loser activity because
It's all getting you closer to your goal.
it absolutely is. And yeah, it can be a little discouraging if you don't make the money right there on the spot, but I feel like you always do, whether it's there or a little bit later.
It's
You
just
know?
going to work, right?
Yes, it's going to showing up every day.
Showing up, and that was the thing I was really going to end up with showing up. Sometimes we have circumstances that come our way, and our schedule gets messed up, and it messes the hostess's schedule up, and all that sort of thing. The key of overbooking, always booking more spas than you actually want to hold, because that way, when you do have a spa that either does not hold or is less than desirable in our terms as far as how we
Yeah.
want our spas to go, then we don't have to worry so much about those that have canceled, because we know our insurance, I guess, is that we've got an overbooked calendar. And the last thing I wanted to share was with the team was just something that happened last week. I had an emergency come up and ended up having to call my hostess. I hate doing that. I probably can't name 5 or 6 times I've had to do that in my whole career. She was real nice, and she said, that's great. We'll just do it next Thursday night. And, of course, my fear always is, okay, is she going to reschedule? Well, sure enough, 24 hours beforehand, she sent me an email, and she just said, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do it tonight. I've had people canceling right and left, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to have it now until at least January, February. Well, there's a few things to remember, and I felt like it would be important to mention on this call, and that is, first of all, if they're going to postpone it to January, February, the likelihood of that spa holding is very small. So as we approach the holidays and we are trying to overbook, and we're doing our open houses and we're doing our one-on-ones and our business spas especially, if one person is coming to that spa, you need to show up. And I emailed her back that day, and I said, and I called her on the phone as well, and I said, look, I don't care if it's just you, 2, 3, or more, that's fine. I'm coming anyway, because I promised you I was coming last week, and I'm coming, and we're going to have a great time. I got there were 4 there. I thought I was going to show up for one, and 2 bookings, 2 recruits, and potentially 3 recruits. So it's
See,
it's the
show it
attitude, first of all, but you've got to show up. Show up.
Yeah.
Tell them you're going to be there, and who knows, if it's just you and the hostess, it may end up being a great recruiting interview. So, Leigh, thank you so much for sharing with us. Let me tell the team that we have another new director that promoted up in November 1, and that's Tammy Stoner, and she's got a great inspirational story as well. So be looking for her story in the weeks to come. Thank you so much, Leigh.
You're welcome. Thank you.